Hello, I'm live. OMG. Can't believe it's happening. It's been a while, and sorry about it. I'm at work right now. I've been here like an hour. I still haven't changed out of my gym clothes, and it's like Star Wars. The Star Wars writing. Do we all get that joke? We've all seen Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan. So I'm doing this on here so that I can have my phone in my hand. That is a raccoon eating pizza. Peanut butter. Even better. Peanut butter pizza. Is that a thing? That should be a thing. So hi, I know it's been a while. And the reason for that is I've been really busy. And as some of you are aware who are regular or longtime viewers, then you know that I have made some radical changes to the channel. Ooh, oh my god, who cares? So I'm talking more about strength training now. And of course, it goes hand in hand with what I was doing before. And they dovetail, right? Cool word. But I've really changed the focus of what I do because I've changed the focus of what I do in life. And right now I'm really concentrating on my training. I talked to a very smart woman who's been a barbell coach for a long time. She was like, right now you need to focus on you. And that's what I've been doing, because the reason why what I had to say about fasting was valuable was because I'd done a lot of it. The thing that sets me apart from other people on the internet telling you how to stop being fat is that I actually did stop being fat. And, even the people that I learned so much from had never been an obese woman. So obese women, listen to me because I'm one of you, right? So it's hard for me to talk to you guys about strength training, even though I'm really convinced that it's extremely important and we should all be doing it if I haven't done some of it. So I just want to talk now to those of you who are interested, who are like, okay, I want to do this and I'm convinced. If you're not convinced, I guess then what I would say is that, this is the way off of the roller coaster. What we've been doing with fasting, fasting or cutting really hard in some other way, major caloric deficit, super low carb, keto, just not eating, whatever you choose, intermittent fasting, etc., is a method of like kind of damage control. If you weigh 300 pounds, then okay, do some 72s. You probably can't even just squat, air squat. And I can see that being a totally valid measure to take in the beginning. But the point is that the problem is that if your methodology over time, if your only long-term strategy is not really a strategy, but just repeating the same tactic over and over, you're going to run smack into the law of diminishing returns. You're going to get to where the cutting doesn't work because you've cut, and you can't cut anymore. And that's where I got. I had done so many 72s and 48s and 4s and 6s and 8s and 24s and 16/8s and 18/6s and 20/4s that I didn't really have anywhere else to go. I was at the end of the line for fasting. And at that point, if you weigh 138 pounds and your only strategy is just to keep fasting, you're entering anorexia territory. And that's not where you want to be, boyo. So, you get to a point where you still have body fat. You might, the problem with making your whole goal and your whole paradigm about the weight on the scale is that you're going to get there and you're still not going to look the way you want to look. If it's all only about body weight and you're not talking about your body composition, about your fat to muscle ratio, you're going to be disappointed. I promise. And there's like, where do you go when you hit that wall? I fasted and I made it here, but I still have body fat, but I can't cut anymore. I can't cut anymore. And now I've fasted so much that I have electrolyte issues. And my metabolism has tanked and I can't maintain my body weight even without extreme measures that are unsustainable in the long term. What do you do? What do you do? Well, you find something that is sustainable in the long term. That's the only way forward. You have to keep living your life. What can you do that is sustainable in the long term? Well, it's not dieting. Because what did I just say? You always hit a wall. You always hit a caloric wall. Okay, I was losing weight on 1200, but now I'm only maintaining on 1200, and now, oh shit, I'm gaining on 1200. And then the other side of that coin is that you also lose muscle. And the other side of that coin is that people who restrict the most have the most problems with disinhibition, with binging, with, oh, I had one Ritz cracker, I will eat 4 sleeves of them. How do we know this? So, what's the way off? What's the way off the diet roller coaster? You're sitting there thinking, okay, Kristen, what is it then? What do you do if you're like, I don't want to have to keep fasting? Well, you can't. You can't just keep fasting. You can't just keep dieting. You will regain it and then diet, regain it and diet. Does anybody else want off the roller coaster? I fucking do. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just like live and eat and not have to be obsessed with your weight and not have to think all the time about how much you're eating and how much you weigh? I would like that life, please. Don't you envy those people? I do. And so the way that you do that is you put on some muscle and then you don't have to diet. And if you have enough muscle and you're training, if you have active skeletal muscle, then you don't have to diet ever again. In fact, you might get to the point where you have to be like, shit, I need to eat more so I can lift more. I want that life. That's the secret. Or not, it's not a secret, really. I mean, it's not a secret at all. If you think about how we evolved as human beings on this planet, life was really hard for a really long time. We had to do a lot of work just to survive. And now we can literally, like, I can move this thingy and I don't want to show that. I want to delete that. I can move this thingy and have a 3,000 calorie pizza delivered to me, and I don't even have to move anything with my hand. I have to get up and open that door. I don't even have to get money out of my wallet. Like, we have to expend so little energy to get energy. Even to earn the money to pay for that pizza, I only have to move this thing around, right? So, and what is it Ripito says? He says, human beings are not physiologically normal in the absence of hard physical effort. I'm going to say that again. Human beings are not physiologically normal in the absence of hard physical effort. How many of you expend hard physical effort on a regular basis? Not even daily, but a few times a week. Hard physical effort. Do you see why that's true, though? I want you to think about it. I want you to think about how we lived, how our ancestors lived for millions of years versus how we live now. I do all my day's work sitting in this chair. So if I don't go do something hard at some point in the day, I can't be physiologically normal because we're not made for this. So you put on muscle. Muscle is very metabolically active tissue. Fat is not. Fat is relatively inert. It just kind of sits there. Muscle does all sorts of shit. And we think about it as burning calories, but it does. But it's more profound than that even. It's your body's major utilizer of glucose. It is pretty much what's going to make or break you when it comes to insulin sensitivity. How much muscle do you have? If you have a whole bunch of body fat and very little muscle, what the fuck are you supposed to do with glucose? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with fat? You're going to store it. So insulin resistance, which is the disorder that begets type 2 diabetes and often obesity and a host of other issues, related disorders, it begins in the skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle can't freaking use glucose, brah. So, because you're not using it, you're contracting muscle, soaks up glucose. So, what if you had a bunch of skeletal muscle and you used it fairly regularly? Are you going to have to eat like an obese person and cut your insulin down to nothing? No, you're not. As a matter of fact, you want insulin signaling because insulin is anabolic and you want to grow muscle. So it's just a completely flipped around way of doing things. If you are going to sit on your ass and if you cannot be convinced to get up and pick up a barbell, then you're going to have to eat like an obese person. You're going to have to cut your carbs. No, carnivore is not the way. I did that for many, many years. If you want to sit on your ass, then you can eat like an obese person has to eat. You've got to cut your carbs. You got to fast. You got get your insulin to rock bottom, and then you're going to have trouble, like I did, because no insulin signaling. Your long-term ketosis depletes electrolytes. Long-term fasting depletes magnesium. You can do it for a little while, and if you're morbidly, severely obese, then you probably should, or you definitely can. And I have like 75 videos telling you how to do it, but the great thing about training for muscle is you don't have to have some kind of food religion like carnivore. I've had the food religion. You're a lot more metabolically flexible and you can have a lot more flexibility in your diet. That's not to say that you should eat trash, but you don't have to be such a fucking stormtrooper about it, because you have become a really great and efficient user of substrate, and you can use all fucking kinds of substrate. If you're a new trainee, if you're starting a strength training program, don't try to do fucking carnivore. First of all, don't try to make any major dietary changes, except you need to jack up your protein hard. But let's talk about strength training. So we've talked about why you should do it. I think that's fairly obvious. Let's talk about how to get started, because I think a lot of women especially are very scared of going over to the weight section of the gym. They're like, what the fuck is that squat rack thing? I'm scared of it. I feel like, there's the whole like logistics of using the equipment. And then there's the fear of the exercises. Am I doing them right? Are people going to watch me? And then there's the fear of the results. Am I going to get bulky? We hear this all the time. Some of us even still get that message. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's from the men in our lives it's like, okay, well, you aren't bulky and testosterone is an amazing thing. And women just don't have enough of it. It takes usually some type of performance enhancing drugs and years of training to get even remotely bulky. And most of us don't even really have the physiology, let alone the hormonal milieu, to get bulky. You might look thicker, you might, especially if you're training a lot of, the squat and the deadlift, especially the deadlift, are really going to thicken the muscles, supporting your spine all the way around. So you might get a thicker look, but I don't really think that's a bad thing. For millions of years, our ancestors sort of bred to be big and strong, because that's how you make big, strong babies and continue the species and stay alive and shit. Like, do you want to breed with a teeny, tiny, weak, skinny, fat lady and then have teeny tiny, weak, skinny, fat babies? Or are you a man? Are you a big, strong man? If you're a big, strong man, then you don't need a teeny tiny, weak little woman. Sorry. Is that controversial? I really don't give a shit. If you're threatened by your woman's strength, get stronger. Nothing is stopping you. So I wouldn't worry about getting bulky. A lot of women will be like, well, I don't want to get bulky. I want to get toned. Well, I want long, lean muscles because all the Pilates bitches on YouTube say, I'm going to give you long, lean muscles. The fuck does that mean? Muscles are muscles. They get bigger or they don't. Someone who is toned, it means that they have visible muscles because they have enough muscle mass and low enough body fat that their muscles can be seen. That's what it means to be toned. You can get toned doing all sorts of shit. It's kind of it's not really the meaning is amorphous, right? It kind of means a different thing depending on who's saying it. Do you want to get stronger? Because there are all kinds of health reasons to get stronger. You're going to live longer. You're going to survive diseases better. You're less likely to get metabolic issues like diabetes. You're going to be more metabolically healthy overall. Life is going to be easier. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better if you get strong. Your muscles will get bigger by definition if you get strong. So how do you do that? And yes, the weight room at the gym is intimidating. I was scared of it. And that's why one of the reasons why I chose to do the starting strength method, because the starting strength method, the guy who wrote the book Starting Strength, and then there's a third edition now, and then the second book, Practical Programming for Strength Training, he's been doing this for like 40 years. And he has the novice progression down to a science. So it's entirely focused really on beginners and how to go from I'm sitting on the couch. Yes, exactly, for your bones. Fantastic for your bones, which is something women have to think about, especially if you are a smaller framed woman, and especially if you're over 40. Like, don't fucking sleep on that. Get on it now. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So he has strength training for novices. Like, that's why it's called Starting Strength. He has it down to a science, not just the programming but the methodology for how to teach, learn, and perform the 4 big basic lifts. So when you go to a Starting Strength gym, because there's franchises now, and there's actually 2 in my area, so I'm very lucky. I read the book a few years ago. I started the novice linear progression, which just means when you're a beginner, you start out by basically adding 5 pounds to the bar for each lift for each workout until you can't anymore. Novice, of course, after a little while, you can't keep doing that because law of diminishing returns again. And you do that in the beginning, but when you're trying to do it by yourself, because I was like in my friend's home gym shed by myself, you don't really know if you're doing it right when you don't have anyone coaching you, and you might think that you're doing it right and you're not. So I decided that it was worth the investment to go to a Starting Strength gym and have a coach, and to use the Starting Strength equipment and be taught in the Starting Strength method by someone else. Even though I read the book twice, I listened to the audiobook, I read the second book, I watched a million YouTube videos and podcasts because that's what I do. I'm a fucking nerd. I obsess about shit. So I felt like I got it. But there's nothing that compares to having a coach. There's nothing that compares to having a coach. A Starting Strength coach has spent probably years, at least a year, learning the Starting Strength method, going through the coaching development course, going through an apprenticeship, being tested on the platform by the guy who invented the fucking system, and a whole team of coaches. And then there's an oral exam. So the credential is legit. It's not a personal trainer where you log in and do some modules online and they send you a certificate once you pay them. They are extremely selective and particular about their coaches. And when you go to a Starting Strength gym and you train with a Starting Strength coach, you know that you are getting bang for your buck. And it's been worth it to me because nothing is more important to me than my health. Not just my health, my uh, longevity, strength, the way I feel, the way I look. I guess health, yeah, like quality of life. Like I want that shit. I'm 43, man. I want to basically look like this ish, maybe a few more wrinkles when I'm 63. And I still want to be training when I'm 83. And I still want to be alive when I'm 93. Although by that point, of course, I'll just be staving off death. But still, I am not going to go out like the modern person who just ends up a fucking, meat pretzel in a nursing home being kept alive with drugs and machines. And no, I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my daughter. And I don't want that for anyone in my family. And I just fucking don't want it. I don't want it. So that's why I do this. And it's worth the money. It's very expensive. I won't be able to do it for long. But right now, I'm finding a way to do it. So when you go into the starting strength gym, they will take you through an intro session. And then they'll just kind of guide you through the lifts pretty closely, especially in your first few sessions. You'll kind of be doing the warm-ups on your own. You'll learn how to use the equipment. So you'll learn how to go get your bar and set up your rack and put the plates on and do your plate math on your calculator on your phone, which is what I do because I'm very bad at it, and do your kilo conversions and, move the pins around and all that stuff that's intimidating for women at first. You just learn how to do it by doing it in a safe environment where nobody's laughing at you and nobody's watching you. The other great thing about it is because it's a small group, you do develop camaraderie with your, fellow trainees. I train at 5:30 a.m. and believe it or not, my class is full. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 a.m. at Starting Strength Plano is full. There's not an empty bay or empty rack. There's what, 10 of us in there, 8, 10, and usually 2 coaches, a coach and an apprentice. And thanks, Carl Max. You're the best. 2, man. So sorry, I'm awkward. So yeah, so you go in and when you first start, I was convinced, I was sold on the starting strength method, and I'd read and watched a shit ton about it. If you haven't done that, then it might be a little bit foreign, but that's why you have a coach to guide you. If you've already been training with some other shit like CrossFit or whatever, and you're used to like throwing kettlebells around or whatever the fuck, then you might have some unlearning to do of certain things. And, they're not really there to explain to you why sets of 5 are the way for strength training. They're not there to explain to you why we do the squat, the press, the bench press, and the deadlift. They're not there for that. You can go crack the book for that or listen or go to the Starting Strength YouTube or whatever if you want the sort of the not ideology, but just like the logical, rational background for why we do these lifts. They're there to teach you how to do it. So if you want to nerd out about the other shit, by all means. But when you're actually there doing it, they're just there to get you good at doing it. When I first started on my first day, not my intro session. On the intro session, they just teach you the deadlift. My very first session, I squatted 55 pounds, and now it took me 9 weeks to get to my most recent PR, which was 175, and I deadlifted 88 pounds, and my PR last week was 205. So it will depend on your body weight and just your basic genetic potential. I think that I don't know for sure because I just don't walk around asking people, but it seems like I went up in weight pretty quickly, or I started pretty high. But I'm not really sure. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you'll quickly stop comparing yourself to other people and just start comparing yourself to yourself yesterday. And that is the best thing, to just watch yourself get better and stronger, and to go from being like this very skinny fat. I was 130. Yes, you can deadlift without an ACL. Mark Ripito, the guy who wrote the book on starting strength, has not had an ACL in like 30 years, and he still does all the exercises. The Starting Strength Forum is a good place. StartingStrength.com, they have a forum where you can ask all kinds of questions about stuff like that. They're very helpful in there. For example, I'm about to have a hysterectomy. I've had all kinds of issues with endometriosis and adenomyosis, and I'm not having any more babies. I have my baby. Took a lot to get her, but I have my baby, and so I'm tired of the issues and I want it out. So I'm having that done in July. And so, I've had a couple of coaches. I posted on the forum about it, and, I've had some good advice about how to get back to training, because my biggest concern is how, I don't want to be set back with my training. So the biggest paradigm shift probably, look, they'll teach you the lifts if you go get a coach. And if you can't get a coach, you can get an online coach, a lot cheaper. Or you can even just post videos of your lifts in the forums, the technique forum, and people will tell you, help you. Or you can freaking message me, I'll help you. And I have actually a client doing Starting Strength, and he sends me his lifts, and I'm like, I know enough to know if somebody is completely screwing the pooch, right? But the biggest paradigm shift, I think, for women is to stop thinking of it as exercise and start thinking of it as training. I forget his name, but one of the guys who started Nike said, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And it's fucking true. Just because you don't have a 36-inch vertical jump and you don't play college football or whatever, or you're not a 24-year-old guy, you can still be an athlete. The way to do anything in this life, to learn anything and to get good at anything, is to fake it. That's how people learn new languages. You can sit there with a textbook and go to fucking college classes for 3 years and still not be able to have not be able to order a goddamn cheeseburger in French. But go to Paris, walk around, and just be stuck. Force yourself to have to converse in French, and you'll be able to have conversations in 2 days, 2 hours. You learn French by pretending that you know it, or Spanish, or whatever the hell. You become an athlete by treating yourself like one, by acting like one, by training like one. You're not exercising. Exercise is when you go to the gym, you fuck around on some machines that don't mimic actual human movement. Leg press, you never just use one joint, and you always, compound exercises, multi-joint exercises mimic natural human movements. You do those across the full range of motion. You train the most muscle groups. You get stronger faster than any other way. Who cares how much you can leg press? Who cares how much you can barbell hip thrust? It's artificial. It's not a real natural movement. How much can you squat to depth below parallel? That's what I want to know. That's how I know how strong you are. How much can you deadlift, conventional, not sumo, off the floor to lockout? That's what I want to know. That's how you know how strong you are. So the biggest paradigm shift, especially for women, but for everyone, but especially for women, because we feel like we have to go burn calories. We feel like we go to the gym to lose weight. Men don't really do that. Men, and this is why they kind of have it figured out, when they feel like, I need to lose some weight, they go to the weight room. They start lifting shit. They try to build muscle. And that's exactly what we should be doing. I want you to think of yourself like an athlete in training. It's not exercise. You're not going there to get sweaty and burn calories and run around and be tired later and be like, I'm so sore, I did something. I'm never sore, but I'm doing something. Today, I got my good friend, we went to kindergarten together, actually. She has started training at my gym. She just started. It's just like her second day, and she was so sore this morning when she came in. I haven't been sore. Like, I don't get sore, but she was like, "You have a Kardashian ass," and I was like, "Thank you, bitch." I know she's being nice, but yeah, just because you're sore doesn't mean you got stronger. Just because you're sore doesn't mean you did anything. So who cares? You might be sore in the beginning. You might not. I was doing some fucking running and Pilates before I started, and I got past the soreness. So I've never been sore fucking once from from training, but I went from squatting 55 pounds to 165. So if you want to do this, treat yourself like an athlete, live like an athlete, recover like an athlete. You need protein, you need food. Don't try to fucking fast. Don't try to diet. If you're very obese, then you can, do this in a deficit. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. At the very, very least, you need to eat maintenance, and that's if you're overweight. If you're at a normal weight or even, only a little bit overweight, then you need to eat probably a little bit over maintenance. Stop thinking about the number on the scale and start thinking about the number on the bar. How much are you lifting? Once you get your squat and your deadlift past a certain point, changes are going to happen in your body, and you're going to look in the mirror and be like, shit, your weight might stay the same. It might even go up, but you're going to look different. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. And as you make this your life, as you become a strength athlete, a barbell athlete, think of yourself that way and live that way. Your body's going to continue to change. There's going to be more muscle on you and less fat. You're going to be able to eat more. You're going to need to eat more. And you're going to wish that you'd done this a long time ago. Women need to stop living with a deficit mentality. We need to stop being about less. I need to eat less. I need to take up less fucking room. There's nothing wrong with looking good. Of course, we all want to look good. But we need to take a number from the dudes about how to get there. Right? They get there by getting strong. And so should we. So should we. Because it is the way off the diet roller coaster and the fasting roller coaster. You put on fucking muscle and the fat will take care of itself. How do you put on muscle? Put weight on the bar. Put a barbell in your hand. Put the fucking kettlebells down. Put the little dumbbells down. Anything you can do for 20 reps is not heavy enough to get you strong. Now, if you're a rank novice and you've never done anything before and you were sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and watching The Bachelorette yesterday, anything you do, even folding a load of laundry, is probably going to get you stronger. But there is a real low ceiling on that. That'll work for a week. And then you need to start progressive overload. So look up Starting Strength. Go to their website. Watch some YouTube videos. Find a gym if there's one near you. Find a coach online. There's a ton of them. Well, I say there's a ton of them. You can find them. Join the Facebook group for Starting Strength or hit me up. I will help you. But every woman needs a barbell in her hands. You deserve it. You deserve to get strong and be able to be vibrant and healthy and eat food and not be constantly obsessed with your weight and how you look. That is incidental. That will come. Be a fucking athlete. Treat yourself like an athlete. Act like an athlete. Train like an athlete. Live like an athlete. I can't afford a coach or a gym, but I lift trees on my mountain. That's dope. Lift trees. Yeah, it sounds like strongman shit. Strong woman shit. That's pretty cool. Some of their stuff I don't get, though. Have you seen them pick up the big rocks, though? That's pretty wild to watch. The ones who are really good at it, because you look at it and you're like, a person can't pick that up. It's too awkward. And then they do it, and you're like, bro. So anyway, I've shifted my focus from fasting because there's a better way. There's a way where you don't hit a wall. There's a way that you can keep doing for the rest of your life. And unless you weigh like 350 pounds right now, do the thing that you can keep doing for the rest of your life, because those are the people who are successful. And even the people who didn't lose weight with a lot of physical activity, people who did it like me, who did fasting or keto or whatever, 70% of people who maintain their weight loss exercise regularly, or as I prefer to say, training, because there's a difference. I don't know if they train or not, but that's what I recommend you do. The barbell, I hope you fall in love with it like I have. You might not. You might not touch it and be like, oh God, I have to do this forever. That might not be you. But a human being is not physiologically normal in the absence of hard physical effort. A really good way to get some hard physical effort in is to do compound lifts with a loaded fucking skeleton. Put a barbell on your back and start training. Before I go, I will just say that I've been doing it 10 weeks now. The changes are noticeable at this point. And the biggest, I've gained 5 pounds, which is kind of a negligible amount of weight. I'm maintaining that weight. I do track everything more to make sure that my main thing is getting my protein. I try to get about at least 160 grams of protein a day. You should get at least a gram of protein per pound of body weight. Most women don't get enough protein. If you're training especially, then you got to hit that. And the more the merrier. For one thing, protein has the highest thermic effect of food, which means it takes about 20 to 30% of the protein that you eat just to utilize that protein. So that's good. In a way, it increases your metabolic rate just from eating it, which is cool. So I do track what I eat. I stay at around 2,000 to 2,100 calories. And, 3 months ago, I couldn't eat 1,200 calories without gaining weight. And I'm staying the same on about 2,000. And I've lost about an inch in my waist, a little over an inch. And I've gained about 1.5 inches in my booty. So that's nice. Definitely everything is tighter and rounder and higher everywhere, which is cool. I am happier now happier with myself physically than I was 30 pounds ago. When I was freaking borderline underweight and skinny fat and not feeling very great and really struggling with the binge eating and trying to fast and wondering why I couldn't get my electrolytes in order. It was kind of a mess. So if you are fasting, I wouldn't do it for long. Get you some lbs off and feel good, and then get under a barbell and eat some food. Okay, that's my TED Talk. And thank you for tuning in. I know there have been some changes to the channel, but I hope that you will learn from my mistakes as always, and don't rely too heavily on restriction to get where you need to go. You can't keep it up. There's a better way. And if you have questions about strength training or anything, hit me up. I am a Precision Nutrition certified level 1 nutrition coach. If you're looking for private nutrition coaching, I will be taking new clients in the end of May, so later this month. So hit me up and I'll get you on my calendar. All right. Bye, guys.